Hi there. In this tutorial, we are going to see that how can we create infinite scrolling to Fish API. Here I am already creating one. If I scroll to bottom, I can see it will load another content, and if I scroll again bottom, it will load another. But if I scroll again and again, it will not load our content until we release our scrolling. So let's see how can we create this API. For that, let's remove everything so that we can create everything from scratch. It will be our heading, like now I need a body container. Let's add little bit border. Orange red. Now we can see our page is fully empty. At first we have to control our scrolling. So let's add we need little bit dummy content for now. Now we can see our scrolling appears. So let's add our event listener to the scrolling. So for that, go to my console so that we can see what's going on, and then if I refresh my page, if I go to, we can see here we have already 52 event listener fires, but we do not need this much. We only need when our user stop scrolling. So how can we control that? So for that we have to create a controller function. For that we will create a what is called custom, or let's create we will control manually. So for that I will pass 1 second, and now I will log the here, but still it will not solve the problem. It will load our call log after 1 second, but still if I scrolling, we can see it will still running in our background browser in the background. So I have to stop our timeout when it triggers another scroll, another timeout within this 1 second. So for that I have to create timer variable, and let's define here timer is equal to undefined, and I have to clear this timeout. So now it will solve our problem. That means if the scroll listener try to trigger another scroll within this time, it will reset that scroll. So if I now we can see it will only triggers on only once. So now we can handle our second scenario. When our scroll reach to bottom, it will only trigger then, but here it will trigger everywhere. So Now let's to handle that. Actually, let's put this into separate function so that it will not create a mess. It will be throttle scroll. Let's define this function here. Now I have to handle a scroll scenario or controlling a scroll in the another function. So it will be control scroll and define this here scroll function and log the here. Here we will control. For that we need three things. One is the document client or the inner height in the window object. That is the this page or the visual portion, and we need another one for the total length or the total page. That is called scroll height, and we need the position our scroll, that where is our scroll position is now, that is the scroll top. So let's create everything one by one. We need three things. At first, client height. Client height is the inner height of the window object, and scroll height. Scroll height is the total page length, and the scroll top, that is the current position. So let's create our condition here. Is reached to bottom. For that I have to create the condition client height plus scroll top. If client height and scroll top equal or greater than the scroll height, that means if these two are, actually I put the arrow function, it's equal or greater than to the scroll height, that means we are reached to the bottom. So if not is reached to the bottom, then return. That means if it not reached to the bottom, then we will do nothing, else we will fetch our API here. Let's see. It will trigger only when we reach to bottom. Now we can see our API reached bottom, but we want to add a little bit threshold, so that if it, instead of reaching to the all the bottom, if we reach in a limited range or distance, it will should trigger. So for that we need to add little bit threshold. So bottom TSR threshold, for example, I pass 200 pixel. So this 200 pixel either have to subtract from our total height or have to add with our other height. So let's subtract from the total height. It will be bottom threshold. So now if I refresh the page, now instead of bottom, I can see within 200 range it will triggers, but other than it will not trigger. So our bottom threshold is complete. Now let's calling our API here. Actually, before calling our API, create another function for our API handling. So and here I need a, actually for that I need a JSON placeholder, actually this link, because it already has some API created. So I will use this one, fetch it will be user/1, because it has user1, user2, this way pagination created. So I will use this one. Now this fetch API return promise, so response await async and data will be JSON, because it is the JSON API. Because if I go to here users/1, we will see it returns the JSON. So we have to parse the JSON, and again it is all again the promise. Wait, let's console log for now. Refresh the page. As soon as we reach to bottom, actually we do not call this function again, still here. So I have to call this function in our controller. So it will be users, actually user by ID, or let's name doesn't matter. Now we can see our API comes. So we have to show our API data in the body instead of this random text. So for that, how can we do that? Let's remove this dummy content. Actually we already create our container, so let's attach this container here. It will be the, remove this log, we created this one again. No, we didn't create. Let's create a constant selector is equal to because we do not want every time call the same text again and again. Instead, now we will call here like this way. What is our container name? Container ID. So it will be container. So inside this container we will attach every item we got from the request. So for that I have to use the insert adjacent HTML. So this insert adjacent HTML require two arguments. First one, the where it will be placed, so it will be before and the data will be our data. It will be HTML data. So for that string, let's create string. Now in this HTML string we will pass our data as a string. So for that our data is for now is the JSON format, so it will not shows in the DOM. So I have to convert this to string. For that within the PD tag it will be data, actually JSON dot stringify data. If I save my file, refresh the page, actually I have to fetch our data in the beginning, so that without scrolling at first it will pull fast API. So for that I have to call this function outside, so that it will call again before our event listener fires. So I can see our event listener content is now appears. Now our text is little bit longer, so let's format the text here, there. For that I have to use third argument. It will be 2. If I do so, where is the space comes from? Actually space comes from here. Let's remove the space. Now actually let's remove the log. Now we can see our data is appears. Now if we open a browser, open a doc or document, then our scroll bar appears, so that we can use our scrolling. So if I do so, I can see it comes another request, but it comes the same request, that means the 1. So I have to replace this 1 to 1 2 3 4 this way, that means the pagination y. So for that I have to create a pagination. So for that let's create a variable here. Actually let page is equal to 1, that means the initial value is the 1, and as soon as we call this function we will increase our page value. Now we need the 1 here, so let's pass the 1 from the function. So page initial value is 1, and I have to replace this 1 . It will be page number. Now I have to pass this function inside this function and inside this function again. So I have to pass the page here and page here. So if I save my file, I can see it is the first one. Actually let's refresh the page. It is the first one. What is the problem? Fast API again still fetching the first one. That means it did not provide the target value. 1, we create 1. Actually I have to, what is the problem? It doesn't matter, we define before or after, but here should get 1 2 3 fish page. Actually let's log the page 1, page 2, page 3. It's working fine. So why are not getting page here? Actually 2. Actually it is getting. So I did not maybe refresh the page. So remove the page. Now we get our data as soon as we reach the page. So let's add a little bit loading indicator. So for that I have to use our loading indicator and go to here, loading page, I like this one, looks a little bit nicer. Copy the code. Let's add this loader here. Now I have to little bit styling, so for that loading container, so let's add a little bit style. We will show our loading container in the middle, so for that position, actually we can do multiple way, but here I will use position so that it will not, I do not have to worry about the other thing. So position fixed, and left will be 50% and top will be 50%, and translation, actually translation, it will be translate করে দিই সরাসরি, translate will be -50% -50%. If I refresh my page, we will see the our loading appears here. So let's add little bit style our loading so that it looks nice. Actually it will be SVG. Actually let's create a color will be orange red, and size, width will be 200 pixel, height will be 200 pixel. Oh, so much. Let's 100. Now it's okay. Now we will hide our loader and only show when it try to load our API. So for that it will be display none, and we to show our loader I have to create a show loader or show loading. It will be display block. Now we will only show our this content loader when our API try to fetch. So in our API, let's command out this line, scroll here before fetching. So I need our container, so let's create this container outside so that we can use the same container again and again. Container, and we need the loading container, so loader will be, what is the name, loader will be loading container SVG, loading container. Then G. Now this will be our loader. So we have to show or hide our loader from our API. It will be loader dot class list dot add. It will be, what is the name, I forgot again. Show loading, and when our request full fetch successfully, we will remove this loading. Let's comment out this line for now. We can see loader is null, that means it will be, let's copy this line, it will be now. If I refresh my page, it should show loading. Where is my loading? Loader. Actually, I have to add our loader into the SVG. So SVG, why not showing the loader? Show loading. Let's copy the name. Actually, it will be loading that loader. So this one, loader. Actually, let's log the loader so that we can understand. Loader should be SVG. Now we can see SVG. So it class show loading. Actually, it's attesting. So why not our loader shows? Display block, display none, because here we has loading container SVG, that means it has 100 priority. So I have to add the priority here. This way, or no need the SVG. Actually SVG. If I save my file, it should, now I am showing the loading, because it is the CSS priority, that ID has a higher priority than the class. That was the problem. So now I have the loader. So we will hide our loader as soon as our request comes. So loading the loader. I am running in localhost, so that's the reason our API fetch so quickly. So let's add little bit delay so that we can see. So for that, it is just for visual testing for our localhost, because in API always show little bit lagging, that is the loading requires. So it will be, we are just mimicking that something like real life scenario takes 1 second or 2 second time. We put our loader outside of the container, that means it will show loader, and after 2 seconds our data will be fetched. So then our loader will be shown. Again, this await should add must be inside this function, so it will be async function. Now narrow down our window so that we can see our scrolling. We can see our loading. If I go to reach, we can see our loading again. We can see, let's it 500 will be, sorry, 5 millisecond, it will be little bit realistic. Now we can see another one, and we can see another one. Now this way our API is fully completed.